Take number 3 on desires and urges. Wow. Welcome back to the Dunsters channel. I am the Dunster. Yeah. Desires and urges. I'm not sure what the title of the video is, but I actually have, not really a script, but a little list of things that I want to get out there. So, first of all, our desires are not what we think they are. This is sort of like our ego wanting things for ourselves, whether it be by comparison, maybe an experience we may have, or even a way to get away from maybe certain traumas that we have gone through. So, an example of a desire is I want to make more money. Now, why is this a thing? Is this because I genuinely need it? Is this because I'm comparing myself to someone else that I feel may live a better life because they have more money? Or is this just something that I've been programmed to believe, that money is a justification for living? I'm also drawing at the same time. There may be some dead space in the recording. It is what it is. We may have been to a friend's house before, seen that they have things that we don't, and we get a little bit jealous of how we think their belongings affect their lifestyle, their happiness. Just a belief that more material needs, material things, can improve our lifestyle, which in some cases I can understand. You can live a quote-unquote easier life if you have certain things. But does easy necessarily mean a better life? No. Everyone's meant to live a different life path, a different lifestyle, and we sort of compare ourselves more than we should in these areas. And yeah, sort of want to get more into the urges. Urges are more subconscious. They're not exactly formed behind a conscious thought. It's more it's like I hate to say the word in the sentence. It's a desired state of being. A desire, I feel, is more you have like a vision for what you want. An urge is more, I want to feel this way, so I'm going to do this action. So, there's many different urges out there, as you know. This has to do with like different dopamine levels that we receive from doing different things, and the subconscious like fact that this dopamine plays a big role in what we decide to do. So certain things are very easy to do, but give you a large surplus of dopamine. This is drugs. This is masturbation. This is frivolous sex with negative people. we make a lot of negative decisions based off of urges because there's not really a goal in mind. You sort of just, I don't know, you get this like spark in your brain that just says, I want to feel this way. And then, based off of your previous actions, you do certain things. It's it's difficult to get past. Like, first there's the hurdle of, okay, I feel this way. What can I do to fully realize this feeling? And you start to go down the list of things you've done before to achieve this feeling. And more times than not, just the way society is and the way we've all been trained, most of these things are negative ways to feel a certain emotion that we may be feeling we lack. So we further reinforce this urge with, I don't want to say negative action, because negative action sort of implies the fact that there's like sort of a karmic weight to what we do in terms of like, okay, so everything involves karma, but the idea that this act is negative sort of, I believe, implies that it will affect you immediately. Karma isn't always instant, but a lot of the times we do actions that we know will make us feel a certain way, even though we also are aware that that action is followed up with shame or anxiety or stress. Personally, for me, I am now 6 months sober. Congrats to me, yay. I would smoke saying, I just want to feel better. I want to get rid of my anxiety. I want to laugh. I want to have a fun time. And I want to know why I feel this way. So, I would smoke knowing that the past dozens and dozens of times that I would be anxious, that I would be stressed, and that I would think of chaotic things for hours and hours. And then, the same day, doing the same thing later, because I'm no longer stressed. I want the answers as to why I'm stressed. I want to find the way out. Then you smoke up again. This is an urge, which is a desired state of being. I had other desires, which were, I want to progress in my life. I want to have more fulfilling connections with people. I desire to live a healthier lifestyle for myself. But I didn't have that reinforcement at the time to say, okay, this is not working for me. This is a desired state of being, but my urges are leading me to do things which I was previously comfortable doing. It sort of goes around in a circle, which makes this difficult because I'm trying to talk about two different things, but it's one and the same. I'm reading a little bit of my list. I'm just gonna read it word for word. Maybe it'll resonate, maybe it won't. I'll go from the top and maybe get some ideas. So, your desires are not what you think they are. Things that we as individuals think that we need are justifications made by the ego. These could be formed by comparing ourselves to others, possibly an experience we may have had, or by integrating traumas into coping mechanisms. Examples that I've given before that I will say again. This could be smoking, masturbation, eating, frivolous sex, and then I go on about going to a friend's house, seeing some things that they have, and feeling a lack in ourselves. We may have had a sexual partner in the past, which the act of sex will give us dopamine as a form of reward. We may have fallen out with this partner, so we now lack that dopamine. And here's the thing. Certain actions give, I'll say, different vibrations of satisfaction. You cannot fulfill your sexual desires with other desires or forms of reward. So, one thing that gave me dopamine was, but like I said, smoking. I also, of course, have a sex drive. This is something that cannot be fulfilled, or either of the two cannot be fulfilled by the other. So, in the losing of this sexual partner, you then crave sexual connections with others, which can lead to partners that do not serve us, especially if before it was a relationship that was not serving. We are trained to get reward from a negative source. If we choose to continue to do that, because at the end of the day, you get the reward, whether it's good or bad. We may take on different careers than we are supposed to, based on the influence of others, and seeing how their job makes them happy. They make a lot of money, or at least more money than I do now. So I'm going to take on this job, even though it may not be in my path. This is just a connection to someone I have, and, yeah. They seem happy with their job. I may not be with mine. I'm going to apply. Maybe I get the job. And then you find out that this job is very time consuming, very energy consuming. And then we stray even further from our path because we chose to do an action that someone else is supposed to do. We compared ourselves to someone else and forgot our own mission. Got interrupted with a phone call, but should be fine. Hopefully the recording is as is, and yeah. Okay. So yes, taking on jobs that we shouldn't because possible influence from the outside. This also reminds me of, I'll just say degenerative action as a sort of overlapping term. Definitely more of a trend in the younger people today, which I am a part of. So, things that we know negatively impact people are being praised because this shows that you um, almost don't care. It's a very strange thing how being a rebel, for lack of better terms, is sort of rewarded. Like, main thing I'm thinking about here is just murder, antisocial behavior, and just gang related stuff. This is a very powerful form of manipulation from the outside exterior forces, and this is perpetrated because of the desire to feel in control. So, this is actually a big desire through people as a whole, is the wanting of control, feeling that you are helpless. So, how can I achieve control in a way that is looked upon in a, I say in a positive way, like the way I'm talking about it, this is clearly not a positive thing. But why is it reinforced? That is a very difficult question to answer. Um, the best way to find the underlying reason, which is something that's meant to happen on a more personal level, um, you really have to self reflect on why you may desire the things that you desire. Because many people do the same actions, but through different desires. Some people may go to the gym. One person may desire to be, I don't know, entirely muscular. Like they just want the six pack, they want the giant biceps, they want the traps, you know. Some people might just want to lose weight and to feel healthy. These are both the same urge, different desires. The urges go to the gym, desire two different things. So, behind the urge is the desire. Behind the desire is consequences. You have to recognize the consequences that you are comfortable with, which is a hard pill to swallow because there's the conscious or subconscious recognition of what we want, but then we don't think about the rewards behind these actions. You can get a negative reward, you can get a positive reward. Even though I don't really like using those terms, it's two different spectrums of the same dopamine receptor, you know? So you have to recognize the reward and then ask yourself which one you're comfortable with. The best way to. Okay, this is something I would consider a positive reinforcing reinforcing reward through an action we may take. I believe that things that help others is a positive reinforcing force. And in that aspect, you have to recognize some of the things you do that negatively impact others. And I'm not saying you have to stop doing anything that negatively impacts others, because this is going to happen regardless. A lesson for you is not always a lesson for someone else. A lesson for someone else is not always a lesson for you. We have to. Here's the thing, you have to disregard others, but you have to regard them as well, which is very contradicting. It doesn't sound right, but if we constantly live our lives in a thought of what will this do to someone else, we aren't even focusing on what it's doing for us. And in order to actually do things that benefit other people, we have to be more accountable for the fact that in order to find that, you're going to hurt people along the way. And that's the lesson. You can't sit inside all day, isolating, saying, I'm never going to hurt someone. I'm just going to isolate, and then I don't have to worry about being a bad person. Because then you're not serving yourself. You're not taking the actions that you need to even help others, just because you're afraid of hurting them. These are both negative. You have to accept the fact that you're going to lose people along the way. You're going to teach them along the way, and they're going to teach you. So, I'm sure by now at this point you've probably thought of some things that you yourself do, which is negative at this point. Once again, we can't instantly stop these actions, for we must truly recognize what it does for us, what it means. Is it a step along the vision that we have for this thing that we hold true and positive? Because there's negative steps along the positive journey. You can't instantly stop all action. I'm not the best at creating lists of things that I do and the, consequences that I know they reap. This is something I sort of have to look back on later and recognize at that point, hey, I made a mistake. Hey, this happened because I was ignorant to the effect I had on others. You really have to allow yourself to feel the urge and to recognize the desire behind it and fully see out the picture that comes in mind. A lot of the things we just won't be able to experience because we may have already missed that chance, And by the time it comes back, we just aren't even thinking of that as a. By the time this thing comes back, we aren't even recognizing that this is something we have thought of before. That's the thing about also manifestation that is overlooked. Like, this is obviously different from urges and desires, but urges and desires will cause you to manifest things into your life. So, you can spend all day thinking, this is what I want. This is a desired state of being. And then, right when you forget about it, this is when the universe introduces it to you. To see if you really remembered. To see if you're really learning. To see if you're really taking the steps that you should be. Behind a lot of the positive actions that we can take is the pain and the hurt of past traumas that lead us away from taking this action. I know in myself that I've missed many opportunities that I know I desire because of past experiences. I've come to learn and teach myself to be more accepting of things that I cannot go back and, travel back to that time and make a different decision. But recognize that past experience as a lesson to move forward and to act differently in the future. Sipping some tea. So, there's a lot that goes into the desires and urges that we may have. It can look very discouraging. What the hell, my tea's making weird noise, sorry. It can be very discouraging to say, okay, I know I want these things, but if I'm never going to be aware of the opportunity in front of me, how am I going to get the things that I want? And that's a hard pill to swallow, is that even when we have the thing that we've been waiting for, myself, I have a hard time recognizing it and actually feeling the reward of the things that I want, because I have rewards from negative things that are already fulfilling this quote unquote void. That void is always there if you are in the state of want, in the state of change. So that's why I say you have to fully recognize the full picture when things happen. Sometimes you have to continue to make negative choices because you do not see how it's affecting the full picture, which sucks. You might form connections that you really weren't supposed to because it felt right in the moment. But this is where you have to learn from the past and be like, okay, I've had relationships like this before. I can see where this is going. What choice are you going to make? On one hand, you're getting part of that reward, but it's not fulfilling in the way that you had desired. This is why you also have to be clear with your desires and what the full picture is. Because if you've only half realized what the full picture is, you may experience that half that you see and then realize, wait a minute, there's more to this. Why could I so clearly see what I wanted, but yet it's now changing? How could this happen? So that's why even when you have the thing you want, you're still learning, because just the way the human brain is, we have not been trained to actually see out the energy behind things that we say we want. Our brain sort of creates images based off of like the energy signature that we're picking up on. So the energy all around our brain is like creating these things that we may or may not see. You may not even be training yourself to see the things of the ideas that you may have, which is something you should practice. Even if you can't actually see it, what do these things feel like? That works for a lot of people. Once again, you have to allow the urge, even if it feels negative, because this may be part of a bigger picture than you are able to recognize within the moment, because your brain is only able to comprehend so much of that energy through thoughts and ideas. A lot of these energies have to be experienced through time, and that is why we are within this realm, because we cannot instantly recognize the impact that certain thoughts and ideas may have, because these things are an energy that we have not been taught to interpret. I feel like I'm sort of going in circles here, but different things are being said. I've already told you that you've probably reflected on some things that you feel are negative. But now I want you to think of positive things that you may do, or that you perceive as positive, because they make you feel a certain way. You need to evaluate the things that this is doing to other people. You need to evaluate the things it's actually doing to yourself. Possibly reflect on how you were acting before and how you've changed since then. And fully ask yourself if you are seeing the full picture. A lot of the times we do things that we think are positive, but they're really hurting us. This is why I was smoking for so long. I don't want to go too deep into that because that's another video on its own. I want to make something about the, I guess, implications, the idea, the mindset behind smoking and what this brings. So yeah, separate video. But yeah, the desire is hidden within the urge. The urge is that spark of energy. And the action is based on previous rewards that we may have gotten in the form of dopamine. Don't know how much further it goes. Once again, it's another thing that is beyond my comprehension because it's sort of gone back and forth between urge, desire. But there's a gray area in between since they are linked. But yeah, that may be it. I appreciate you guys for listening. At this point, if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. Please like, please comment, whatever you want to do, share. Hopefully you've learned something through this. Hopefully you've done some reflecting. And yeah. Once again, fully allow the urge. Recognize the desire behind it. Why am I feeling I should take action in this way? What is this reinforcing? Why does this give the reward that it gives for me? How can I possibly change these actions if needed? How can I integrate different and new actions in a way to recognize more of this bigger picture? There's a lot of questions, a lot of reflecting to be done. But we are never fully there. So be patient with yourself. Be honest with yourself. There's a lot of healing to be done. And even when you're healed, there is a want for more. Because to be healed, you have to desire it. There's always more to be healed. Along the way, you will cause pain in your healing process. And it's okay. Remember to love yourself the way that I love you. Remember to love others. That's really behind a lot of the urges that we have, is love. So really allow yourself and the people around you to feel that you are a loving person. Allow yourself to feel that you're a loving person. That's a big part of why we do the things we do. We may feel we're not adequate, even though we are. So, yeah, stay strong out there. Thank you for listening. Bye.